YouTube. So if you have an issue where you really don't want that to happen, raise your hand now and let me know so that we make sure that we don't have you in a video or something. Is everybody in the audience okay with that? Okay, so we're good there. The next thing is I want to apologize for my dress attire. Today was a training day, and with the weather and everything, I didn't get back in time to get in uniform, but just know we have a very robust training program here at Wheat Ridge, so if you join our team, you will have fun out there on a training day. So, are you ready? All right, well, what I'd like to do is welcome everybody to the Wheat Ridge Recruit Police Officer Open House. My name is Sergeant Jamie Watson. I'm head of the Professional Standards Unit, and along with our HR business partner, Millicent Lewis, between the two of us, we will have eyes on every piece of paper you send to us or that we ask for. If something comes up during your process and you have questions, you will always reach out to myself or Miss Lewis, because we have a handle on the hiring piece of this. We got a great evening here for you tonight. If there's any question you've ever thought about asking about a career in law enforcement, tonight is your opportunity. You have a great opportunity to ask everybody in this room anything you'd like. If you walk out of here tonight with an unanswered question, it means you didn't ask the question, okay? And I want to make sure that everybody understands that significant others, as well as the applicant, is more than welcome to ask any questions related to how this career might affect you or your home life. That's what our panel is here to answer for. What I'd like to do now is take a moment and introduce the Chief of Police here at Wheat Ridge. That would be Chief Murtha. He is our new Chief of Police, and I'll have him come up and give us a little bit of an opening here. Chief?
Thank you. Well, good evening, everybody. I am Chris Murtha. I am the new Chief of Police in the Wheat Ridge Police Department, and excited to be here. Thank you for coming out on this snowy night. For those of you interested in a career in law enforcement, I hope tonight you get the answers that you're looking for from the members of this agency, who I think will be able to give you some great insights into what it means to be not just a police officer, but a police officer in the Wheat Ridge community. So let me say thank you for your investment in time, and thank you for considering a career in law enforcement, for considering taking a larger share of responsibility for the safety of our community and the protection of the rights of the members of this community. That's a big responsibility. I think the men and women of the Wheat Ridge Police Department take that responsibility seriously every day, and they do a great job. We are looking for the best, most qualified applicants out there, because we have the best, most qualified police officers in the region and potentially, I think, in the state. It's what attracted me to Wheat Ridge. I come from Maryland. My story is a little bit different than some of your stories. I've gotten to talk to a few of you, but everybody here has their own story why they're here tonight. Mine was a story that actually started on the East Coast, ended up in Colorado. I was a restaurant manager. For those of you who've been in Colorado for a while, I managed Black Eyed Pea restaurants. It's a long way from law enforcement, I know, but you all have varied backgrounds as well. I left the state because my wife and I had too many kids to be in a state where we had no family, and we moved back to the East Coast, where I got a job just outside D.C. in a large police department. And I've seen plenty of police departments, and I've seen plenty of different officers, styles, types of policing. The opportunity to come to Wheat Ridge in this highly professional police department, highly supportive police department, is like winning the lottery for me. I feel like I hit the jackpot to come here. I'm excited to be here, and I think as you consider becoming a police officer, applying for the Wheat Ridge Police Department, understand that if you are selected, you have hit the lottery. Metaphorically, of course, your salary won't be reflective of any kind of lottery earning. But I do think it's the greatest job in the world. I think the reason I left the private sector was because I wanted to do more with my life. I wanted to serve the public. I wanted to come home every night and think I did something that was meaningful. And here you get a chance to do that. And the men and women that sit before you tonight will tell you their stories. They'll give you an unvarnished view of policing, policing in America right now, a little bit under siege. I think we can all suggest that we've taken some lumps, and yet the community of Wheat Ridge doesn't see it that way. The community of Wheat Ridge supports the men and women of the Wheat Ridge Police Department because of the great work they've done and continue to do. So know that you come to a very supportive community if you join our ranks. Know that you come to a very supportive police department with opportunities. And know that you come to a police department that has a new chief that's interested in trying to connect with you and figure out how we can advance everybody's careers as we move forward. So I'm happy to see so many of you turn out tonight. Family, friends, thank you for coming out. This is a team effort. And if you're selected, you'll join our family. You'll become part of the Wheat Ridge family. So if that appeals to you, I think fight hard for it because it's worth the fight. So thank you for that. Before I turn it back over, does anybody have any questions of me? I'm happy to answer any that you might have right off the bat. So I'm not sure I can answer them. I've only been here for about 10 days, but I'll do the best I can. No questions for me. It's like the recruits in the academy. They never ask a question of the chief. They want to wait to ask that to their coordinator. I understand. But I think you'll get all the information you need tonight. And if there's any follow-up, you can always send an email to the chief's office, and I'll try and get that answer to you. So thank you for coming here. Thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate your attendance in this event. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. So what we're going to do now, the first thing we'll do is we'll have the panel introduce themselves. So for the panel, what I would like is you to give your name, where you're at in your career, what's it like for you during throughout your day, and then why Wheat Ridge. But before I do that, I forgot to mention something on your clipboard. On the back side of the information sheet you have, that gives our core values, vision, and mission statement with a little bit of information on the front of that flyer that you have there. So don't forget to take that with you. So Officer Slade, if you'd like to begin for us.
My name's Officer Slade. I've been with Wheat Ridge since 2011. I actually started as a 911 call taker and a dispatcher here with Wheat Ridge. Loved it so much that I wanted to go ahead and transition over to the policing side of things. So I actually went to my academy in 2018. During my time as a dispatcher, I was field training officer. I did the SWAT team, so I worked with the SWAT team as their tactical dispatcher and worked with their negotiations. And now in patrol, I'm one of the crisis trained officers for the city and in the process of becoming one of the crisis intervention coaches. And I'm also a field training officer right now. And so I'm on the graveyard shift right now. It can be a little brutal, especially right now, it's super cold. But I mean, my day consists of handling calls, making contacts with people, trying to go to some of the more interesting parts of our city, which I think some people are surprised that Wheat Ridge has, and seeing kind of what stuff we can kind of come up with in order to help keep our streets safe. So I have a lot of fun doing that on the graveyard shift.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Recruit Gortmaker. I'm currently at the Academy, so my police career is just getting started. This is week 5 for me. I actually got to wear my duty belt for the first time today, so that was a pretty cool experience. But for the most part, my day consists of this book. This is the Colorado Peace Officers Handbook. It has all of our statutes in it that we're enforcing. So it's a little bit like trying to drink out of a fire hose. There's a lot of information coming at you really fast. So it's different every day. You're always learning. The academy that we're sent to, we have great instructors. So they're very knowledgeable. They're always able to help you out. So it's been a really great experience so far. And that's one of the reasons that attracted me to Wheat Ridge, is that I know that we have this academy. I'm sure all of the police academies throughout the state are qualified, but knowing that we have all these different departments coming together and giving the students the best practices available, I think that's worth its weight in gold. So in addition to that, Wheat Ridge has a lot of opportunities, I feel. Being a smaller to middle-sized department, you're able to advance more quickly, you have more opportunities to learn and get on special teams. So I think you guys have made the right decision. I'm really happy to be here. I'd be happy to work with any one of you here tonight. So thanks for being here.
My name is Officer Brian Cook. I've been here for 15 years, since 2004. Came out of the military and right into Wheat Ridge. At that point, I went to the academy on my own, so at that point I was just trying to get a career in law enforcement right away, and Wheat Ridge kind of took me in. While my tenure during here, I've been on the SWAT team, FTO, been part of the honor guard, that we partaken in a lot of ceremonies with, unfortunately, downed officers killed in duty, but also presenting the flag, the colors at Rockies games, at Avalanche games. I'm currently assigned to the swing shift, which is, we're doing a special thing where it's 12 hours long versus days or grades that has 10 hours. So it's really, really busy during the day. During the day, we get a lot of the cold calls, but then nighttime when everybody's getting off and everybody's having fun, the trouble starts happening, and we handle it as best we can. And just enjoy working here. Love the people that I work with. We're all just a big family. Everybody kind of gets used to your personality, and they're just considered brothers and sisters to me.
I'm Detective Kyle Eversole. I've been with Wheat Ridge for about 20 years now. I started off in patrol, worked my way into our crime prevention unit, and then the last 10 years I've been a detective. I work mostly financial related crimes, white collar crimes. I do a lot of identity theft, embezzlement, stuff like that. My day consists of talking with banks, writing search warrants, and writing court orders for production of records. I spend a lot of time on the phone talking with people, but you never know what's going to happen throughout the day. If a bank robbery happens, then we're running out the door to go handle the bank robbery to help patrol out, because that's a high volume call. In the Investigations Bureau, we're also on call one night every other week during the weekdays, and then every 10th weekend. So if any major crimes happen during that time, we get called out and we handle those calls. My last two call-outs were a carjacking and a homicide, so I kept both of those cases. So one thing that you get here with Wheat Ridge is you get cross-trained in a lot of different disciplines, to where you can pretty much handle whatever's thrown your way. And it's awesome that way. We don't get just stuck with one type of thing. I chose Wheat Ridge when I started looking for a job in law enforcement. It was the mid-90s, and at that time they were, there was like 150 to 200 people applying for every single position that was open. It was very difficult. I was applying everywhere. I worked for Weld County Sheriff's Office for about 5 years before I came here in 2000. So that's kind of where I started my career and where I'm at now.
Hi everyone, I'm Officer Holliday. I've been here at Wheat Ridge since, I believe, 2017, early 2017, in a non-sworn capacity for animal control. I also did animal control for about 7 years before I got here to Wheat Ridge. I decided to make the switch to patrol in 2018, where I went through the academy. And so I'm just under 2 years on patrol on the street. I currently work day shift, which is 6 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the evening. So far, it's a pretty awesome shift. You do a lot of traffic, which is nice, but it is still Wheat Ridge. We are a busy agency, which keeps the day, keeps us going through the day pretty fast, and we get to see a lot, which is awesome too. it's very community oriented, which is also why I like it here at Wheat Ridge. So we have our Carnation Festival. We get to see a lot of people during the summer times. We have a lot of parks, our green belts, all perfect opportunities to get out there and enjoy our environment versus just staying in a car, just going call to call. So it's a lot of awesome things about Wheat Ridge and the environment. It's been an amazing career thus far, a lot of responsibility. We are definitely leaders of the community and trying to do our best to keep our commitment to our citizens. I do also like Wheat Ridge because we are very well trained. We do a lot of training throughout the year. In service, about 3 times per the year, we're re-upping our skills, and the academy definitely teaches us everything that, for the most part, everything we need to survive, and we just continue to grow from that point forward. And it's been an amazing career thus far, like I said.
I'm Officer Southwick. I started with the City of Wheat Ridge in 2014 as a CSO.
Don't forget your Explorer.
Oh, I started in 2013 as an explorer for the police department, basically a cadet. In 2014, I got hired as a CSO. I went to the police academy in 2017. I was also hired by Aurora, where my parents are cops. I decided I didn't want to work with my parents, and I really enjoyed the people here, so that's why I came here. I don't have any regrets about coming here. I love working here. I love the people I work with. I'm currently assigned to swing shift with Officer Cook. I'm also a field training officer, so if you go to the academy, you might end up with one of us. My days typically vary. The call volume in this city is pretty high, and they vary drastically in what the call entails. There's times you're handling a traffic accident, and then you're leaving that to go to an armed robbery that just occurred. And that's what I love so much about this job is your days are always different. And I'm more of a night shift guy myself, but swings will do for now. I enjoy the amount of time off you get in this job too. Having a 3-day weekend every weekend's nice. But honestly, this is a great department, and I don't think you would regret working here at all.
I'm Officer McKellum, and I just graduated the academy in December. So I just finished phase 1, and that was on day shift. So I'm one of those people that, I do my due diligence. I make sure my T's are crossed, I's dotted kind of thing. And when you go from the academy into field training, I didn't know what way was up. I was proud of myself the first week because I could finally dress myself. And then as soon as I opened my mouth and I told somebody, hey, I dressed myself today, I forgot my body camera, so I didn't really dress myself after all. So that was a big pill to swallow. I ride along in the car with the field trainer, and they grade everything you do from how you drive to how you talk on the radio, knowing your geography, where you're going, how many times you hit a curb, that kind of thing when you're driving a car. And then you get a new car like every day. We're not assigned a car, so some of the older ones don't drive like the newer ones, and then you hit some more curbs. So I get dinged for that, but it's nice because everybody here is supportive, and even though, like I said, it's a hard pill to swallow, it is, because, I find myself to be pretty rigorous in my routine in the academy. I didn't forget anything. They give you a little blue card to carry every single day, a name badge that you have to have every single day. Bing, bang, boom, I had all those, and then you go into field training, and it's like, which way is up? So I just started phase 2. I'm in my second week now of phase 2, and I'm starting to figure out which way is north, which way is south. So it's feeling a little bit better, but again, I have the support that I need, and even when, at the end of the day, we go over how you did for the day, and it's nice because it's not anything from left field. It's like from call to call, we talk about it afterwards. So I know, the areas I need improvement or the areas that I did well in, and I actually find that that's helpful. And then we get to reiterate at the end of the shift, so I know when I go home, what to keep in the forethought of my mind, so I know what to do better the next day. And then the reason for Wheat Ridge is I'm actually really happy to be here. I think our social media really displays what Wheat Ridge is like here, from the gorgeous pictures that Officer Holiday takes to the community activities that we're involved in to the training that we have. And if you pay attention, they give you some funny tips now and again on how to stay safe even for Valentine's Day. So I love being at Wheat Ridge.
Well, thank you. We don't want to forget our officers out here on the side manning a table. So when we're done with this portion of it, if you haven't met them, please do so, because they've all got various levels of experience also, and would be happy to talk to you and answer any questions you may have of them. And always check out the cool little toy SWAT brings out, so that's always fun. So what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and get started with the question and answer. So if you have a question you'd like to ask somebody up here on the panel or anybody, just raise your hand and we'll get a mic to you and you can ask your question. So go ahead. Anybody? Don't make me pull somebody out. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming out. My name is Cameron Devon. I kind of had a question for both Officer Cook and Southwick for the swing shifts. Do you guys, because I know you guys are all assigned a certain area in the city with swing shifts or even just days and nights, is there patrol officers that get open area where you go out throughout the whole city?
Yeah, it depends on the amount of officers that we have on that shift, but usually there's 4 beats in the city, and an officer will be assigned to those. And then if we have an excess number of officers, another officer might be an all rove for maybe the east sector, and then an all rove for the west sector. And if there's more officers, might be all rove all over the city.
Okay, who's next? Don't make me point. You. Oh, we don't have enough time to discuss the paperwork for this job. No, would somebody up there like to take the paperwork one? And then we have a question out here. Go ahead and answer how much paperwork there is.
I have a folder that's about this thick, full of different forms. There's a lot.
As far as being a paper crimes detective, the white-collar crimes, I've got file cabinets full of paperwork that I deal with on a daily basis.
You will find that if you don't like doing paperwork, this is probably not the career field for you. Or you just need to really enjoy paperwork because there's a lot. Especially if you make an arrest. There's a lot of paperwork. There's the police report. You've got arrest reports. You've got all kinds of paperwork that needs to go to the jail. So if you don't like paperwork, be careful. All right, go ahead, sir.
Notice that the paperwork says that there's 12-week academy, and then on the website it said 20-week academy. Can you address that?
Oh, I sure can. We screwed up. I will tell you the academy is 21 weeks, and then you're looking at a 12 to 16 weeks of field training. So sorry about that, but we will get that paperwork taken care of. We have a question over here.
How many ride-alongs are required to go on for the ride-along program?
I'll take that one. So our ride-along program right now is for citizens of Wheat Ridge. If you are not a citizen of Wheat Ridge, then we just got to get special permission, and you're allowed 1 ride every 6 months. Okay? Anybody else have a question? Oh, sorry.
What is the department's perspective on emotional well-being?
You got that one, Julia? Okay.
Absolutely. It's one of the things that I love about Wheat Ridge is they are very, very dedicated to your emotional well-being. One of the first calls I took when I was a dispatcher was on a child death. So that was very, very emotional for me. And the first thing my sergeant did when he walked in the door was say, "Are you doing okay? Do you need to talk? Do you need to take a break?" The city has the EAP plan, Employee Assistant Plan, and part of that, is for non-sworn personnel. But they also have a specialized portion of it that's specifically for people who deal with what we deal with on a daily basis. We also have specialized psychologist, Dr. Brower, whom we work with very, very closely. She does a lot of our debriefs after critical incidents. We have, right now, there's actually a meeting upstairs right now for a critical incident that we had. So they're meeting with the officers that were on scene. They're just talking over what happened, how's everybody feeling after it, what could we have done better, what did we do well. So definitely one of the things I love here is that it is a priority.
We also have what we call our peer support team. So there's officers within our department who have gone through peer support training, so that if you need to, you can go to an officer right then. The other thing that we have done here with our peer support program is what I'll call it, is because there's so many aspects to it. But what we've done is we've included family members within our program. So if you have a spouse, significant other, child who is having some concerns with the job that you do, there's no reason why that member can't get help either. It's not just for the officer, it's for family members also. We actually, this year in our in-service training program, we have Dr. Brower coming in, and she's doing a piece for wellness for our officers. So we do that quite often. Wellness is important because if our officers aren't well, then they can't do their job right. And so it's a very, very important piece of our job. So.
And just in addition to that, sorry, we also have our chaplaincy program.
Yes.
So there's dedicated members of the spiritual community that offer their services. You know, they'll just come and do a ride along if we want, and we just need somebody, you know, just to talk to. So a lot of great things.
You'll find that the minute an officer reaches out for something, they probably get more calls saying, "What can I do for you?" than not. So, yeah, we got a great program.
Hi, I'm Harmony Devon, Cameron's wife. For somebody who is married or has been married, what is the best thing that your spouse did to support you as an officer?
I can answer this one. I'm happily married. I've been pretty much married for 13 years. The hardest part about this job is not seeing him. I love swing shift because I like my days off that they have. So there's times I don't see him for 4 days straight. That's the hardest part. But the best part about him is he listens to all my crazy stories, and he never seems to get tired of it. So that's the awesome part. Just be ready for those stories and let them vent and just enjoy it.
Come on, Julia, you've got something, because you went through a...
I've been married for 10 years. And I have the luxury, my husband actually has a bit of a background in law enforcement as well. So he understands a bit. But one of the biggest things is understanding the change that's going to come. You know, and I think that was a big thing for my husband and I. It was talking about that beforehand, like you're going to change, you're going to see things, you're going to be taught things, and so things are going to look a little bit different. So just be expectant of that and grow with it, rather than try to stifle it and be like, that's not who you are. So.
Well, and the other thing too to remember is you will change. As the officer, you're going to change because, again, you're going to be seeing things that no normal person will see, okay? And not that that makes it bad. It's just somebody has to do this job. And if you're the one that is selected, like our chief said, you know, it's a lottery. You know, this is a tough job. So it may not just be tough on the spouse, but it could be tough on brothers and sisters, your mom, your dad, your parents, because you will change. You are going to see things differently now as an officer than you did on the other side. We all get and I just like to say it as a very warped sense of humor, okay? When we laugh or make jokes about something, we're not doing it to be mean. It's to lessen the stress that we have just gone through, okay? By no means are we disrespecting anybody. It's just how a seasoned officer deals with that level of stress or that particular incident. We've had officers that'll go on a scene and they're holding it together, but the minute they clear that scene and they're done, they're with a buddy and they're talking about it, and then they're showing their emotions. So you have to remember there's a certain time that you just have to get the job done, okay, because you're there for them, okay?
Sergeant Watson?
Yes,
We
ma'am.
had a question on Facebook.
Okay.
About which academy the recruits would go to.
Oh my God, we go to a fabulous, phenomenal academy. We send our recruits to the Jefferson County Lakewood Combined Regional Academy. In my opinion, it is by far the #1 academy probably here in the Metro Denver area by far. You will get some incredible training. And Mr. Gortmaker and Officer McCallum can speak to that since it's so fresh in their mind. Sarah, would you like to say about your academy experience there?
Sure. The academy, like we were saying earlier, you know, that book, it's no joke, and that's not the only thing you're learning. So you have to be ready for, you work as a team, so you get penalized as a team. There's a famous light pole that you'll do runs down to, but the training is invaluable, and you spend 20 weeks there, but it's really only the tip of the iceberg. But they do scenarios for you so you can get a little bit of the feeling of what it's actually like in the real world. And I'll tell you, on my ride along, there was a report writing scenario that we did, and then I did a ride along with the actual department, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like I just walked into the kitchen at the academy. Like, everything was exactly how it was in the scenario at the academy, but out in the real world in somebody's apartment with a possible DV that was going on. There's another program that they have. It's like a crisis intervention where they actually have role players come in, and they're in the locker room screaming at the top of their lungs, and you have to go in like you're going into somebody's house, and you have to deal with the situation. And for a lot of people, that's like, oh my goodness moment, because it's like, it feels so real, like, and they do a really good job about that. So it's a lot of grueling hours, a lot of studying, but a lot of training and a lot of hands-on. And like I said, it feels like it's only the tip of the iceberg, but it gives you a really good base to jump off of.
Okay, what else do we have? Yes.
Thank you. With all the negativity on the internet, what kind of community bridging programs do you have? Community relations?
So I don't know if you've seen, but they do like Coffee with a Cop here in Wheat Ridge. And then if you look, like we're involved with the Carnation Festival. And like Officer, I think Holiday was saying, in the summertime, there's a lot of things where we're out at the different events, out on the Greenbelt, that kind of thing. So it seems like the community, you know, takes us in well, and we have a good interaction. And then there are certain things like open houses and events that we hold so that the community can be a part of the department, so.
You will find that here in Wheat Ridge, we are loved by our community. We have worked very hard to build that relationship that we've bridged a wonderful gap with them over the years, especially through the procedural justice, community policing, and then the programs, and not only what our officers do, but what our crime prevention unit does. They do a lot of things too with outreach with the community. So does that help you out there? Okay. What else we got? Anybody?
As far as body cams are concerned, I see a couple folks are wearing them. Is it issued? And obviously, it's a good idea to have a body cam on in this modern world. Everyone's recording everything.
I, for one, am a big fan of body cams. We all recently just were issued body cams, so anytime we're on patrol or in uniform, we're supposed to have our body cam on. I don't.
Do you have it on now?
I don't have it on now.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been a very useful tool. Being able to go back and review your footage, see if you missed anything. It's really helped me out in DUIs and going to court and makes testifying a lot easier. People trust you more, I feel like, when you go to court and you're like, you can watch it happen. So yes, we all are issued body cams.
Well, and also coming from my position with professional standards, which is also internal affairs, it's amazing when somebody says that the officer was rude, and then you show them the body camera, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. So body cameras are another great tool for us.
We had a question over here.
Go ahead.
So in a lot of these panels that I've been to or hiring events, they like to talk about the gruesome realities of law enforcement and everything. But honestly, I'd really like to hear about some of your most ridiculous or hilarious or heartwarming moments on some of your calls.
Wheat Ridge actually has a pretty decent sized transient population. So last night, I was doing some extra patrol as some abandoned apartments over on the west side, and we'd contacted people there before. So last night we go back out and we noticed that it looks like somebody has come back, and it happened to be somebody that we'd contacted, you know, previously, quite recently. And as we were interacting with him, you just kind of looking and realize, like, he didn't have a blanket where he had just been sleeping. And so I asked him, I was like, this whole time, have you not had blankets? And he's like, no. We've worked with several of the church communities, and some of the ladies knit blankets. So we have this whole stack of individually wrapped blankets sitting underneath our stairs over there. And so I called Officer McCollum up and I said, hey, would you just run by the police department and grab a whole stack of these? And then she came over and got him hooked up with some blankets, some hot warmers, some gloves, and rather than jamming him up on trying to stay warm and trying to stay out of the weather, you say, hey, you can't come back. Like that's just part of the law portion of it, but from a human side of things, just realizing like you're just another human being, and you also are in need of a little bit of compassion, and Wheat Ridge provides a lot of opportunities to give that.
Anybody else have a story they want to share?
Don't really have any stories, but it's my goal in every encounter to be told thank you. So always do my best and strive to be told thank you. I've even been told thank you after I give someone a ticket, which I think is pretty impressive. But it's just the feeling of helping someone when they need it. It just gives me satisfaction and reminds me why I do this job.
And just to tail end on that, I will tell you that the level of our officers and our service that we provide, our vision statement for this department is exceptional people providing exceptional service. And we know we hit that mark daily because, again, in the job I do, I've gotten calls from people that said they were stopped by a particular officer. They got a ticket, but they wanted to thank that officer because they were friendly, professional, and they treated them with respect, even though they knew they did something wrong. So that's the level that we have here at Wheat Ridge. I've got a question here off of Facebook that wants to know what's the pay and what's the top-out pay. So this is great. You're going to love this. So when you get hired on as a recruit, you're going to go to the academy, and we're going to pay for you to go to the academy. So we're going to pay you, plus we're going to pay for your academy. We're going to pay for all your uniforms. The only thing you will have to buy is your shoes, your firearm, and flashlights, and your undershirts. Other than that, we get you all your uniform stuff. So you're going to get what we consider is the top-level training. You're going to get paid. Your pay is going to start out at $59,000 a year just to go to the academy. So we're going to pay you to go to school. We're going to pay you to learn how to be a cop. So you're going to make $59,000 for that year, and I think it equates out to about 26 and change an hour. Is that what it is, Millie? 27? 28, okay. Okay. So you're going to be paid 28 and change an hour to go to the academy. When you graduate the academy, you're now post-certified, which means you're going to come back to us and you're going to enter your field training. You're going to get a pay increase, and it's about $62,000 that it goes to once you graduate the academy. And that's really just for graduating the academy. We're going to give you a raise, okay? And then you will get a pay increase as long as you hit your evaluation scores, that you're meeting expectations. Then you get a pay increase. And officers are in a STEP program, so you get a STEP increase every year. At year 7, you top out at 89.5. Okay, so really it takes you 6 years to top out. It's 7, but that first year of training, that doesn't really count as towards your top out. So on your second year, that's where you start, and then you'll top out. It takes you 6 years to top out at about 89.5. So that one. Any questions on pay? Okay.
We had one more from Facebook.
Okay.
That and the person was asking, what one thing do you wish you had known before you went to the academy? One thing about law enforcement.
Paperwork. Go ahead.
Lack of sleep. One thing for me that I wish I knew is just how stressful the job can be. It can be extremely stressful. It's good to have a good family life that can support you during that stressful time. You don't get much sleep, especially when you're in the academy, when you're going through FTO. Once you get out of FTO, it does relax a little bit, but it's not an easy job. It's the best job in the world, if you ask me, but it's not an easy job.
Anybody else? Lance, come on.
Yeah, I wish that I had known exactly how much studying is involved with the police academy. The days are kind of long. It's 7:30 to 5. You typically go over about 20, 30 minutes every day. And then for me, it's about an hour commute home, and then about an hour and a half of studying, and then bed, and then do it all again the next day. So it kind of is all consuming, but it's a lot of fun. The academy has been a great experience for me thus far, so there's a lot involved with it.
Anybody else?
I'll go with the documentation actually can be hard. We had a stop the other night that started about 2 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't finish the paperwork till 10:30 in the morning. And that was 3 of us working on paperwork. So it's kind of a bummer being stuck at the computer typing when you hear all these calls going on or calls that are holding. And, you tend to have that personality that you want to get up and go and keep responding to these calls. But the paperwork isn't a joke. It really can be tough.
But you have to understand, though, too, the paperwork is what's going to either make or break the type of officer you are when it comes to having to go to court or testify in court. And how well did you do your report? How well written is it? Did you cross your T's and dot your I's? Because defense attorneys, they will look at these things, and they're going to look at your report. And I don't mean to throw anybody under the bus, but Detective L's back here, she does persons crimes. Some of her reports are 50-plus pages, okay? How many? 72. That's for a report, okay? So it is a lot of paperwork, so. Another question?
Yeah. A question about the pay. Is it exempt or non-exempt? Salary or hourly? Okay. And then what is the number of officers that you guys currently have in Wheat Ridge, and how many are you looking at?
Okay. So right now, we are at 88 officers. We are looking to add to our team. At this time, we don't know how many yet. As you know, we have a brand new chief on board. He's the one that's going to make that decision. And again, he's only been here for 10 days. So we don't know yet. And so as soon as we know, everybody will know how that is. So we're just waiting on him. And again, he's having to crunch where we're at, what are we looking at, what's the city happening, what's going on. So once we have that information, then we'll know exactly how many. But we are at 88 right now. They don't take any more than 30. So, and that's from Jefferson County, Lakewood, Arvada. That's from any municipality that is within the Jefferson County area. They bide for spots in there. So, but they don't take any more than 30.
What's the start date of the next academy class?
It's usually the first or second Monday after the 4th of July. So, and then what we usually do, so without my calendar, let's just say the 4th of July falls on a Wednesday. That Monday would be, the 8th or 9th? That would be then the week that you would spend with us. Okay, so we always get you a few days, anywhere from 3 to 5 days before the academy starts, to do what we call our pre-orientation. That's to get you in the department, get you an ID card, get you in the system, get your uniforms, and then you usually will start the academy within the next week.
The last one from Facebook was pension. If somebody could speak to the pension plan.
Sure. Do we have anybody on the pension board here, or we don't? Okay, so does anybody want this one, or you want me to take it? Okay.
So I think we've got a great pension. We don't. We have a 10% match. So we are
just went to 10.5.
So for the last 20 years, I've been putting in 10% of my salary, and the city's been matching that. That just got increased to, I put in 10%, and the city's putting in 10.5%, starting January 1st of this year. It's a money purchase program called, I think it's a 401A, Is that
Yes.
right? Yeah. We do not, the city does not contribute to Social Security, though. So we're not part of that pool. If you've qualified at other jobs or careers, you can still draw Social Security, but there's a knockdown in that once you become a public safety and you don't pay into Social Security.
So the other thing we also have, besides the mandatory contribution, like Detective Eversole was talking about, there's other voluntary contributions into a 457. We have flex spending accounts that you can use for your medical, dental, if you want to set a little extra money aside for that. There's all kinds of things on our side that we have. Where's Millie? Did she step out? Okay. Yeah, she can answer exactly what we got unless Miss Jones would like to.
Hang on, Christine. We can't hear you on Facebook. You can't hear me? I know. Without the microphone, we can't hear you.
We have a ton of benefits. We have the employee assistance program, which they all talked about up front. We have medical, dental, vision. We have the 401. We have the 457. We have a Roth IRA, which are all retirement funds. We have the health savings account, the medical flex spending account. We have a limited flexible account, and we have a dependent care account, which is kind of like a nest egg for any kind of rainy day or emergency. It's like a little fund. We have additional Allstate coverage, which is a lot like Aflac. It's where if something was to happen to you, you're out of work or whatever, they just mail you a check depending on what's going on. We have Cigna life insurance. We have life and disability. We have a plethora of benefits. I actually go over benefits with anybody that gets hired. I spend the first day, I spend about an hour and a half going over our benefits, and I pretty much scramble your brain with all of the information of everything that you have as an option here.
That was Christine Jones with our Human Resources Department. I'm your Public Information Officer, Sarah Spalding, and Bridget.
Yes, FPPA.
And Bridget's behind the camera over here for Facebook Live.
Okay, what else we got out there? Yes, ma'am.
I understand this is likely different for every person, but what is the most challenging part of being a police officer?
Not crying in front of your victim. It's really, it's like holding, and I'm just going to say this, one of my first calls that was very emotional for me was a child abuse. And it was really just trying to hold it together because I was seeing these poor little children and I'm like, oh my God. And I remember my sergeant at the time showed up because it was my first, and he was like, are you doing okay? I said, yeah, I'm doing fine. And all I could remember to keep telling myself was don't cry, don't cry. And for me, that was it. It was just not crying in front of them. Cry later, okay? Because you just have to hold it together while you're there. But I would have to say the best part of that is when I was done, I charged them, the parents with child abuse. They got some parenting classes, they got some help, and a couple months later they called me and thanked me for arresting them because they finally learned how to be a parent. So, anybody else? What's tough?
Yeah, I went on a call where I had to pat down several children because there was somebody possibly with a gun, and I had several kids that were shivering and crying, and it was the worst feeling ever, honestly. I tried to talk to them and let them know, it was going to be okay and everything, but I know it sounds minuscule, but having to pat down kids that are crying because they're scared to death of you does not feel good.
Go ahead.
On top of what these awesome ladies have said, the call types they're very serious and are meeting people on the worst day of their lives. On top of all that, we also deal with so many different types of situations that it's going to be different every time. So I always question myself, what am I going to do before I get there? It's something I'm still working on, how to perfect my performance and how I do my job. And then on top of that, you have to keep up with case law, policy and procedure, and making sure that you're, doing everything the best that you can and according to policy, your department. That's the hardest part for me too. It's a lot to know, but you're still growing and progressing and getting better at it, so it becomes easier as you go along, but it's still a long process to obtain all this information and keep working it.
Anybody else? Cook?
One of the most challenging ones that I deal with is being on the honor guard of seeing fallen officers. I may not even known them; they're in other agencies, but we're all blue, and those are our brothers and sisters. And you can't turn on the news without seeing an officer died every day. And just even talking about it, you can tell I'm getting emotional. It's just hard. You don't want to see any of our brothers and sisters die or anything like that. And this is wood. Hopefully, I'm knocking on. We haven't had a shooting here, and being here with all these guys and stuff like that, you've known them for a long time, and then the next day, our job is so unpredictable. Any of us could wake up to our last day. So we thank God for our training, and that we depend on each other and stuff like that. So it's just hard to see officers die, that's all.
Thanks, Cook. Appreciate that honesty. Who else?
So when it comes, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sorry. When it comes to scheduling and work-life balance, is it like Lakewoods where you have to pick all of your days in advance? Is it by a bid shift basis? How do you determine what shifts you're getting and where you're, what shifts you're getting?
So about end of October of every year, by seniority, you go in and you pick the shift that you're going to be on for the next year. And you also pick, I want to say, like 4 weeks off throughout the year that you pre-pick. And you'll get more days off throughout the year. It's one of the wonderful things around here. But you'll have a set of days where it's like, I know that come mid-July, I've got 2 weeks off. Just nobody can do anything about that at that point. It is by seniority, but generally, it's been pretty good as far as like days off and stuff. The nice thing about swing shift's an A side and a B side of the week. So you got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and every other Wednesday, and the other side has Wednesday, Thursday, Friday with every other Wednesday. So they're always getting at least a weekend day off. But yeah, it is up front and it is by seniority.
So my question is for Margaret. About doing like all the studying and stuff that you do, is there a lot of support within your actual recruitment team as well? That like, do you guys do like study groups and different things like that, or do you kind of feel like it's more on your own throughout the, beginning part?
You kind of have the option. So there are several study groups that are available. We have one every Sunday. I haven't gone every Sunday, but I have attended several times. Then sometimes we'll meet up before class. So if you get there at 6, we'll study for an hour and a half before we have to get there for lineup. There are a lot of people who prefer to study on their own, and they're more than welcome to. But if you'd rather study in a group environment, you have that option as well.
Anything else?
What kind of physical training do you recommend in preparation for the academy?
That's another thing that was kind of surprising. I'm a pretty physically fit individual. I'm a personal trainer, at least I used to be. I studied exercise science in college, and these workouts are pretty tough. So I'd say start running and doing a lot of burpees, a lot of burpees. But if you start now, you'll be fine by the time the academy rolls around.
Their physical part is based a lot on CrossFit at the academy. So, yeah, burpees. What else we got? Come on, I know we got some more.
Sarge, can I touch on that for a second?
You sure can.
So for the workouts also, they're grueling and they'll kick anybody's butt. It's really high levels, but it's in order for you to push yourself. And the one thing that I liked about the academy too is that your class is supporting you. So even if it's grueling and it's taking you an hour and a half, literally one of them took me an hour and a half, because it was like a mile run and then you had to do 200 push-ups, 100 burpees, and 300 something else. Lance, you haven't gotten to that yet. It'll be at the end. But the nice part is literally it took me over an hour and a half, but I finished. And they waited the last mile. You couldn't go run it until everybody was done. And so some people work on being cheered on, some people don't. I didn't like holding people back, but it was a really good feeling to finish. So don't let that stop you. Anybody can do those physical fitness, the tests, the activities, all of that, because you'll have support.
Well, and you will ease up to it also. So you're not going to get in there and they're going to say, I want you to run 2 miles and 100 burpees. You're going to ease into it. Go ahead, sir.
What kind of mental health programs are there for the city, and not for officers, but just for the community in terms of mental health opportunities, and then also in terms of diversion for drug addiction? Do you guys offer programs, citywide programs involving those two issues?
Anybody, or you want me to? Well, as far as diversion, we have 2 different courts. We have our municipal court, and then we've got the county court. So depending on what it is, would depend on whether it's for diversion or not. There's a lot of diversion programs for juvenile offenders, whether it be for alcohol, marijuana. There are programs for juveniles, and then they'll base it on what is their history. Is this a first offense, second offense, what is it? And then the nature of the crime. County, they may have some diversion programs out there for a lot of things. When it comes to mental health for our community in general, there's not a whole lot of that. We mainly have focused on our officers' mental well-being. But I'm sure so I guess let me ask you this. Are you talking from a standpoint of maybe somebody who is homeless, looking for mental health, or just somebody living in the residential area?
Either or.
Okay. So as far as what we've done here at Wheat Ridge, one of the things we have just put on is we have a coordinator, a mental health coordinator, that now works with our department to ride along with officers and then get involved where she can and where she's needed. And we've been using her now. She's working with 2 different individuals, our coordinator is. So that's what we've done there for reaching out to our citizens.
I can also add to that. I do frequently have to transport people. We were very fortunate to have the Colorado Crisis Center, Jefferson County Crisis Center here in Wheat Ridge. So whereas other agencies have to come to Wheat Ridge, we have it here in-house. So our response time to either Lutheran Medical Center or the Crisis Center could be probably about 5 minutes if we do have a crisis and we need to have somebody professionally talk to. Those are free services for the county residents, or Jefferson County residents. That's on Wadsworth, and Lutheran Medical Center is on 38th Avenue. I have nothing bad to say about each one of those places. Like I said, I frequently go there, frequently transport people there, and I hope that they get all the resources that they need once they're there.
Well, and then also the majority of our officers are trained in crisis intervention. So they're CIT trained officers who are able to help within the community also. Okay. What else we got out there? Anything? Yes.
What are some of the ways that you guys de-stress on your own outside of the department?
I hang out with my friends that aren't cops. And I do things that are not cop related. I like fishing and shooting guns. That's my go-to. I guess that's kind of cop related, but I like fishing. That's a big de-stressor for me.
I do the same. I hang out with friends that are not in law enforcement. I try to travel as much as I can. I say I work hard so I can play hard, when I'm going on at least 1 cruise a year. So, just taking care of yourself and being around with the friends and family that I mentioned earlier.
I also travel. I love to drive, so you'll see me. I'm gone on my 4-day weekend when I hit my swing shift again. Those 4 days, I take them and I use them to the best of my advantage. I just take my vehicles and go. Sometimes it's nice to be in nature at this point because, you deal with a lot of people, and sometimes you do need to de-stress and maybe distance yourself from it while you have, your weekends, which is pretty awesome.
I think to piggyback on that is any one of these officers talking about is do anything but police on your times off. You'll burn out and you won't last. you need something to take your mind off of police, don't talk shop, do something, anything but law enforcement.
What else we got? Anything? Yes, ma'am. No, you're okay. I thought this little guy was going to ask a question.
What are some tips or some advice that you can give us to successfully pass the academy?
I would say go in with an open mind. Some of the concepts are going to seem very foreign. Just realize when you get out of the academy, it'll all start to make sense. And like was previously said, just start working out beforehand, and everything will click after the academy.
I'm going to add to that, Jamie.
Yes, go ahead.
So the academy has a fairly high standard. You're generally only allowed to fail a certain amount of tests before you kind of get into kind of more of a like counseling mode with them. So take it very seriously. I think for a lot of people, those first few weeks, they're like, okay, I'm going to breeze through this. It's, the tests are hard. So spending the time prepping, spending the time studying, an hour and a half, like that's every night. That was about average for me. I had a 6-month-old at home. And so an hour or two every night sitting there trying to take care of the baby and take care of that and study, it's a lot. So just mentally preparing yourself for the next 20 weeks are going to be brutal mentally and physically. But if you prepare mentally for that, it'll definitely help, I think.
Does that help you out? Okay. What else we got?
What do you look for in an ideal candidate applying for the Wheat Ridge Police Department?
Integrity. Anything else? Anybody want to add on that? What we look for is truthfulness. We're not looking for perfect people. We're looking for the right people. Okay? We all understand that we may have some skeletons in our closet, but the question is, are you going to tell us about those skeletons? And then is that a skeleton or something that if we were to offer you a job that we could explain to our community why we believe in you? Okay, so those are the things. So again, we're not looking for perfect, we're looking for the right fit, we're looking for the right candidate. So when you fill out that PHQ, you need to tell us everything, okay? Just lay it out there. Let us make the decision whether or not it's a disqualifier. Now there's some things that are automatic disqualifiers because it's for post and you can't be certified as a police officer. And that's any felony convictions. So if you've been convicted of a felony, doesn't matter what the felony is you can't carry a post certification. However, you could write to post and explain the situation and they may be able to give you a waiver. But we wouldn't be able to put you through our process until you had a waiver. There are certain misdemeanor crimes that if you've been convicted, you can't have a post. And those usually are around lying. Did you falsify any documents? False report to a police department? Did you solicit prostitution? Certain type levels of assault, sex assault, those things there, you can't have a post certification. You can always apply to post, again, for a waiver on a misdemeanor, but it's up to them whether they would give it to you or not. For Wheat Ridge, it's 12 months, so 12 months for marijuana use. If you've used marijuana within 12 months of your application, you're not eligible for us. You'd have to wait a full 12 months. And we just changed that a couple years ago. It used to be 3 years. Some agencies are still 3 years. Denver is none. So if you've even used marijuana for Denver, don't even bother applying. Any other hardcore drugs is 5 years for us. Other agencies are different. So we at least say, okay, so maybe you experimented when you were in college. But did you tell us about it? You know, if we find out later that you didn't tell us on the PHQ, you're done. Okay, don't even, you'll be kicked out of the process, okay? So, got to tell us everything. I don't know how many times somebody will give me a PHQ, we look at it and everything looks good, then we get their polygraph back. They passed the polygraph, but now there's things in the polygraph that they never told us. You're done, okay? So that's why we say, please just be upfront and honest on that PHQ. Let us make the determination. Because usually if you're kicked out because you didn't tell us and you found out in the polygraph, it was usually something that wouldn't have kicked you out anyway. But it was because you didn't tell us, okay? So be honest. So that's what we look for, is somebody just to be honest with us. What else we got? Anybody else? We got plenty of time.
What is the name of the book that you guys have to read for the academy?
It's the Colorado Peace Officer Handbook.
We call it the Blue Book because it's blue. But yeah, so that's got everything. It's got all your statutes, your code of laws. So you got to get to know that thing real well. Anything else before? Because if I don't have any more questions, we can wrap this up. But go ahead.
For Officer Cook, what are the greatest similarities and then the greatest differences transitioning from the military to the police department?
It's pretty similar. It's when you go into the academy, there's a lot of military type maneuvers that they go in the academy. I went to a private academy, so it was a little bit laid back. But it was just a lot of similarity. You come here, and I went into the military, going into the infantry with specific skills that would apply over to the police department, specifically the SWAT team, things like that. They're all similar. So not really any kind of differences or anything like that. Nothing really. So.
Anything? Oh, okay. Okay. So the PHQ that I'm talking about, that's your personal history questionnaire. That's that thing that Millie will send you that we get pretty intrusive into your background. Yeah, that's your PHQ. FTO, Field Training Officer. What else do we have? CSO, Community Services Officer.
SRO?
SRO is the School Resource Officer. What other acronym did we use? Is that all of them? Okay. Trying to think of anything else acronym-wise. Oh yeah, POST, yep, Police Officer Standards Training. So that's the ones that credential us. And that's the other thing, is you might go through the academy, get certified, and then let's say you do something crazy, and you go out and you decide you don't want to have to pay for a pack of gum, and somebody arrests you. You can lose your certification off that. It's committing crimes after you've been certified, okay? So you can lose them for that. Okay? What else we got out there? Anything? Because if not, we can go ahead and wrap this up, and then you guys can still get some more food and mingle with our side tables, or you can talk with an officer one-on-one, whichever you prefer. So if we don't have any other questions, then we can go ahead and wrap up this portion of it. Do we have anything else on Facebook, questions or anything? We're good? Okay, so we'll go ahead and wrap this, the panel up. We're still going to be here for a while. We've got a lot of food, and Millie does not want to have to take this home. So please eat. These officers will be around for a little bit. Please talk to them one-on-one. Again, if you were maybe just afraid to ask a question, ask them one-on-one. Talk to our officers over here on the side. They will help you answer anything. And all I can say is I just want to say thank you to our audience here tonight for coming out, giving us this opportunity to hopefully win you over to Wheat Ridge. And if there's anything we can do, just reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you out. Again, Sergeant Watson, I'm on the website. If you have any questions, whatever, reach out to me. I will be happy to get those answered for you. And I wish you all luck. Again, it is a great career. It's a very rewarding career. So with that said, enjoy, have fun with our officers here, and again, thank you.